Good evening. My name is Hiram Erickson. I'm the chair of the Chamber's Legislative Committee. Brett Crandall, the Chamber president, had a previous commitment that prevented him from conducting. He asked me to do so. Thank you for coming to the Rexburg Area Chamber of Commerce Meet the Candidates Forums. We applaud and appreciate everybody that is running for office. And we appreciate their willingness to be here today. Anyone who is willing to put their name forward to run for office and suffer the associated slings and arrows deserves our respect. Can we start with a round of applause for everybody that is running? We'll start today with a prayer by the CEO of the Chamber, Janelyn Holt, and then Janine Nielsen will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to be here tonight. We're grateful to live in this area, in this community. We're grateful for our freedoms. We pray that we will be able to be enlightened today. We pray for those that are taking part, that they will feel calm and that they will be able to communicate their thoughts. We're grateful for all those that made this possible. Again, we're grateful to be here and to live in this great area. And this we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
There are several races that are not being contested where the candidates are running unopposed. We're going to give those candidates 2 minutes each to speak to us. We'll start with Commissioner Mendenhall, then Commissioner Smith, and then Representative Weber. And Janine, they asked if we could keep track of the time, just in case they run long, so we let them know.
Go figure, an elected official will go over. That's an oxymoron, I think. My name is Brent Mendenhall, and I am seeking re-election for the District 1 seat on the County Commission in Madison County. The county is divided into districts, but the entire county votes, and that's not been lost on me in the last 6 years that I've been a county commissioner, that we're in this together, and there is no one specified interest or one specified area. We look at the county as a place that we want to be, and me personally, I look at it as a place where I raised 5 children. They come back. They don't live here. They come back. They bring my grandchildren, and they want to come here. They have fond memories, and I want this to remain, Madison County, a family-friendly yet progressive community. This is a place that is growing very, very quickly, 31% increase in growth. As a result, the Board of County Commissioners has the responsibility for managing that growth, not always popular. Mr. Erickson stated about those who put their name out and are willing to do things. Over the 6 years, I've found that there are times that my wife, Susan, uninvites me to go to the store with her. She doesn't want me to be there because she says it takes us forever to get out of there because somebody wants to stop and talk to you. But I'm always willing to listen. This is an opportunity for us to look at that growth, to management, whether it's through developments, whether it's through planning, whether it's through zoning. Decisions by the County Commission are not always popular, but I guarantee you that the 3 of us now, we look at every aspect. We try to take emotion out of it as much as we can, and we squeeze it out. And we look at what is practical, what is real, and what will happen. I want you to know that the last 6 years have been very enjoyable to serve the residents of Madison County. It takes one vote to re-elect me. My wife is still up in the air about that, but it takes one vote to re-elect me to this position of a county commissioner. But all of the votes that are cast means we're in it together. Agree with me? Probably not all the time, but we'll work it out. Always have. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here. Appreciate you taking your time and to be here and to learn a little bit tonight. And my grandson just said hi to me, so I appreciate him being here, even though he can't vote for me yet. So I'm Todd Smith. I've been a county commissioner now for just over 13 years, and I have enjoyed it for the most part. As anybody that's in that seat knows, that anytime you have a contentious issue, you know when you take a vote, you're going to please some and you're going to make others very not happy. And that's the stance you have to take sometimes, and it is not easy. We have some good things going in Madison County right now, though, and if you got too close to me, you'd feel grime and dirt on me. I spent all afternoon at a groundbreaking up in south of Newdale for our new landfill that we're building. That's been an exciting project that Representative Weber was part of as a commissioner, and I've picked it up and taken it from there. It's been 15 years in the making, and we're finally moving dirt. It was a nasty day to be there, but those are just a couple of great things we've got going on that take time. We do our best to keep the budget as conservative as possible. We know that we get complaints about the money that's being spent on the government level, but at the same time, we do have a county to run. It's always interesting to me that people want the roads to be perfect, but they want their taxes lowered. And we do our best to balance those. So anyway, I do appreciate the opportunity to serve, and it's been enjoyable. As I think about putting my name on that ballot again, I still feel like I enjoy it more than I don't. And I still am excited about it. I still am excited about the projects we've got going. So anyway, thank you for being here. Appreciate you very much.
Good evening. It's great to be with you this evening, and great to be back in Rexburg, even though it's a little bit breezy and chilly, but it's better than spending the 3 months in Boise, although we do a lot of great things in Boise, and you hear some of the things that sometimes you wonder, but I'm here to tell you that out of all the things that we hear in the news and that, there's still a lot of good in Idaho. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be back and sit on the front row with these two commissioners. I've sat with them for almost over 10 years and appreciate the work they do for the county. Out of all the things that I could talk about of a balanced budget for Idaho and making major investments in infrastructure and roads and bridges and water and mental health and school facilities, out of all the things and the great things that happen, there's one thing I want to leave with you that I hope you would take out of this room and take with you and share with your neighbors and your friends, and that is May matters. I want you to think about that because we have a primary election coming up May 22nd, and it's important that we get as many people as possible to get out and vote. If you look at our voting statistics, it's extremely low across the state. And so I leave that with you, that get out, talk to your neighbors, get to know the candidates, learn the issues, and then go out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. The remainder of our forum will be moderated by David Pace. David is a reporter with EastIdahoNews.com. He covers local politics, education, the INL, and community events. Prior to his work with EastIdahoNews.com, David worked here in Rexburg for our very own Standard Journal. We appreciate his willingness to moderate today's forum. David.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here and for each of you taking the time to come and become more informed about your elected officials and those who are running for office here in Madison County. We'd like to welcome up our first round of candidates who are going to be participating in tonight's forum. And as they're doing that, I'm going to briefly go over the rules and format that we'll be running under tonight. First of all, we'll begin each round with a 90-second opening statement from each one of the candidates. We will then proceed to questions which have been prepared by the Chamber and EastIdahoNews.com. The candidates will then have 1 minute to respond to each question, and if necessary, we'll allow for a 30-second rebuttal if that's needed. We also have a timekeeper, Janine Nielsen, on the front row. She'll be holding up a sign or raising her hand to let you know when you have 15 seconds left in your response. When your time has expired, I'll cut you off if necessary, so we'll try and keep to those time requirements. If appropriate, I'll ask any follow-up questions. After the questions are done and our 20-minute segment is transpired, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. We will then invite up the next set of candidates. Sound good? Awesome. So let's begin with our opening statements. Ms. Raybould.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. My name is Britt Raybould. I am currently serving my second term as your state legislator in District 34, Seat B. My good seatmate, John Weber, serves in Seat A. In Idaho, in the legislature and the House, you have 2 representatives and 1 senator, and it's been my honor to represent this community for 4 years. East Idaho is an incredible place. We look around and we see a combination of a bunch of factors that make us successful, from our agriculture to our education. We have so many good things working in our favor. Part of that requires that we continue to be proactive and engaged on issues to make sure that East Idaho has a voice in Boise. And during my service, I've made it a priority to speak up for East Idaho. You know, we have water issues over here. Despite the snow that we had today, we do still live in a desert. And so it matters how we manage our water and whether or not we have sustainable access to that water. It also matters whether or not we have jobs and a strong economy and good schools for our students. I'm committed to representing this district and ensuring that a local voice for this community is heard in Boise. Again, thank you very much for being here.
Mr. Golden.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Larry Golden. Yes, I'm running for Representative District 34 against Britt. I appreciate your time to be here tonight. This is my first time doing anything like this. I don't come from a political background. I come from a military family. I grew up in the military. I served my country. I got out of the military and I became a police officer. Best job in the world. At one point, I had an opportunity to go into the corporate life, and so I took that option. And there I learned how to deal with people, how to work with people, and really how to become better and bigger than just what you're doing. We decided 3 years ago that we needed to move out of Washington. We came down to Madison County, came to Rexburg where my granddaughter was born, and we realized we liked it here. We wanted to be here. So we made the decision to move here. And after being here, I started looking at, hey, what's going on in the neighborhood? What are we doing in our county? How are our politics? And trust me, everything aligned to where I'm at. I'm a Second Amendment guy. I believe strongly in the First Amendment. Right? I want my kids to grow up in a safe environment. And at one point, a little over a month ago, I decided I needed to step up and run for office. So that's what I made the decision to do. I want to represent Madison County, not with an ego, not with anything about me, but this is to serve you and your choices and what you want. Thank you.
All right, for our first question, Ms. Raybould, would you please take 1 minute to share what legislative action you're most proud of that the state legislature took this year?
Thank you, David. So I was actually having this conversation with my friend Craig Cobia. It was the creation of an independent ombudsman office for health and social services. Okay, now what does that office do? Well, for our purposes, what an ombudsman does, and you may have heard it related to law enforcement, is they provide an independent avenue for citizens in the community who are recipients of services to be able to seek out an independent review. And in this case, it was about creating an avenue for foster families and foster children to be able to have their concerns heard as it relates to the services they receive from the state through that department. So from the standpoint of the most important thing I did, that's got to be right up there at the top, because it's going to make a difference for families and for kids, and do so in a meaningful way that will make their lives better.
Excellent. Mr. Golden, what do you feel the state legislature failed to do this session that you would have liked to see?
So first and foremost, there was a lot of spending votes. Every vote that came through this year for spending was passed. And I don't like the fact that we keep spending more money. We as taxpayers, we have to protect our own money. Like, the state should not just be spending money crazily. And that's kind of what I saw. Every bill that went through was voted through, and our tax dollars are being spent. We need to be able to preserve that money. We need to be able to make more people accountable and be able to do a little bit better on our audits, so we know where our money's going. We know that it's being spent in the right places. But that's probably the biggest issue, is just the constant spend from our government.
Excellent. For this next question, we'll start with Mr. Golden, if that's all right. Mr. Golden, the Rexburg area is served by exceptional public schools and educators. As a state legislator, what would you do to ensure our continuing population growth attracts and retains high-quality teachers?
Oh, that's a great question. So one thing, from moving from Washington, where it's definitely the flip side, my daughter, when she was in school, all my kids graduated or went to high school in Washington State, and it was super tough to get kids to do anything up there. We moved to Rexburg. My daughter had some amazing teachers. She went into color guard. She went into orchestra. She kind of blossomed into this new person. And I was blown away how well Madison County, how well the high school has done. And I would really push to continue to fund the schools, to push and get more funding where we can bring in those high education teachers and make sure that we're also, tracking our teachers, right? It should be results-based. It shouldn't just be we just give out money. The better teachers we can get, the better students we're going to get on the long run.
Excellent. Ms. Raybold, what did you accomplish for education in this most recent legislative session, and what does the legislature have left to do?
So during this last legislative session, some of you may have heard about House Bill 521. 521 was what was referred to as the K-12 facilities bill. As some of you know, other communities have struggled to go out and bond to raise enough funds in order to build new schools. Schools, at least even if you're just looking at sort of a bare bones elementary school, can run $20 million, let alone once you start looking at middle schools, junior highs, and high schools. And Salmon, the community in particular that kind of got held up as a poster child, has struggled to get to the level of bonding that was necessary. And so 521 was intended to help start to fill that gap by providing an additional $1 billion over the next 10 years to help schools with their maintenance and repair. Now, I personally am in the position where I don't think that we have done everything that we need to do with that facilities piece. We need to be looking down the road and saying, okay, how do we help these school districts, particularly in these smaller areas, continue to have safe facilities for their students to go to school? In combination with that, we need to continue making sure that our teacher pay is competitive and that we have good, safe schools for our students to attend.
As a quick follow-up question to that, Mr. Golden, and this will be for 30 seconds, you referenced that spending is one of your main concerns. How would you balance that with your support for education in the legislature?
So I think we need transparency, really. I mean, again, fund schools as much as possible, but accountability and transparency. Those are the two things that we need to know what's going on. We need to know where our money's going, and we need to be transparent with everybody as far as where the money's being spent.
Excellent. And Ms. Raybold, how would you respond to where these funds need to go and what the priorities should be in the education spectrum?
So I would say Idaho has one of the most transparent budgeting processes in the state. If you go to transparent.idaho.gov, got to get all the dots in there, you'll be able to see exactly where the money goes, down to the division level, even down to the individual employee that's spending the funds. So when we do a review of the budget process and we're doing an analysis of where the dollars go related to education, we're looking specifically on a school-by-school basis about how much each school receives, because that's driven by formula that's in statute. So if you want to talk about accountability, you want to ensure that funds are going to the right places, we have the processes in place that are doing it. So we have the systems, and to Mr. Golden's point, yes, we should be transparent, we should be accountable. We are doing that in Idaho.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ms. Raybold, we'll have you start with this next question. This refers to what the county commissioners referred to in their remarks. Madison County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state, in one of the fastest growing states in America. What needs to be done at a state level to manage growth, prepare for, and balance the challenges that it brings?
So growth isn't easy. I mean, I think everybody's driven or tried to get into Rexburg at some point in the last month, and you've been confronted by some form of construction, particularly on Highway 20 related to the overpasses. Those changes are tied to the fact that we as a community have grown, and in order to accommodate that growth, we've had to grow in, and we're having to make those changes to the traffic flow pattern so people can get on and off Highway 20. That's a consequence of that. Now, that money didn't come from out of thin air. That money came from the state through the ITD Commission identifying these particular corridors as being critical for the purposes of moving people through the state. And we finally reached a point in time where we have the funds available to do those projects. Now, is it going to be a headache while they're doing them? Of course it is. But these are the kinds of things that we see playing out when we talk about how we're raising revenues for the state and how the dollars are being spent. When there's growth, you have to accommodate the fact that there are physically just more people in the state. More students in the state mean there needs to be more classrooms, more teachers. More cars on the road means there needs to be more space for those cars to be able to get from point A to point B. I mean, even down to the point of like being able to go into the DMV office and be able to get your license. We have to have individuals in positions in order to provide these services. And so as we look at how the growth is happening around the state, we have to accommodate that growth where we need to fill in gaps as it relates to the services that people expect when they live in the community and they pay taxes. We can't accommodate everybody in the community if we aren't prepared to go to where they're at. And so just sitting back and hoping that things will just kind of work themselves out without us making investments up front, I believe creates a problem down the road where you're eventually going to have to do what Governor Otter referred to as deficit spending. We have the funds, we make the investments today, and if we do it over time, it's something that is manageable and does not create an undue burden on taxpayers.
Thank you. Mr. Golden, could you respond to that same question? And would you like me to repeat it? Would that be
Please.
helpful? Awesome. So what needs to be done at a state level to manage growth, prepare, and balance for the challenges that it brings?
Yeah, so she provided a great answer. Some of the things that, as she was mentioning, part of the state patrol, right? Their job is to keep traffic flow, keep people moving. The more we keep people flowing through Rexburg, through our area, the more money that's ultimately going to come to us. So being able to balance those budgets, to be able to figure out where the money needs to be spent, keep our roads up, keep our infrastructure up, right? Like she talked about Highway 20, we're doing some improvements there. But it's what happens on the inside of Rexburg. How can we continue to get people to move, but also keep people to stay? So by putting more money into buildings, structures, whether it's facilities where we want people to stick around to be able to spend more money, that's where we need to be focused on.
Excellent. Mr. Golden, let's talk one more about education. Do you support or oppose the state's Idaho Launch Initiative that provides $8,000 grants for graduating seniors, high school seniors, to pursue in-demand careers at community college or career technical education programs?
So I do support. I think there's two different groups of people, right? You're going to get those ones that go to college, which is great. I have a daughter that went to WSU, and then we have other people that need to be in the trades. You're not going to have necessarily both. I think it's a big push, and we need to continue that drive where we're supporting both sides, where you're going to be either going to a technical school, trade school, or to a regular college.
Excellent. And Ms. Raybold, same question for you. Would you like me to repeat that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. I am so excited about Idaho Launch. For years, we have provided a pathway for students to pursue sort of that traditional high school to college route with what you think of as sort of your regular scholarship. Through Idaho Launch, we've created a pathway for students who don't necessarily see college in their future, but know that they need some additional training beyond high school in order to get that leg up. Right? So we're talking about technical certifications, we're talking about community college, we're talking about access to training that helps fulfill in-demand careers. So for instance, if I'm someone who wants to become an electrician and there's the process that you have to go through to become a journeyman, there was not previously any dollars within the system to help me make that transition. Combine that with the investments that we've made in K-12 career technical education, and we're setting up students to be on their career pathways before they even graduate from high school. And then combine that with the dollars available to them through the Launch program, and we have this system in place where we have students seeing that there is something for them beyond high school that doesn't necessarily require them going to college. It's a template that other states are looking at, and I'm really excited to see what we can do with it.
Excellent. All right, Ms. Raybold, I have a question for you. There's a lot of concerns about higher costs and inflation in the economy in today's world. What can be done to ease the tax burden on Idahoans?
So in the last 2 years, we've seen significant tax relief from the state of Idaho. We passed over $300 million in property tax relief. It was the largest property tax cut in the state's history. During this last session alone, we decreased the income tax for both individual and corporate from just over 6% down to, whoa, man, let's see, it was 6.9, and now it's down below 6.8. And so we're in a situation where we're continually looking for opportunities to decrease taxes in the state and at the same time returning rebates to citizens as well. So you do that combination of providing tax relief, making smart investments, and doing so in a way that helps support the growth in the state. To me, that's a winning formula where we're managing to check the boxes and balance our budget according to our constitutional requirement.
Excellent. Mr. Golden, same question for you. What can be done to ease the tax burden on Idahoans in today's economy?
So I think, again, as Bro was saying, I actually heard your ad today on the radio, and I heard that. I was like, that's great. So, you know, we spend a lot of money on property taxes, and I think that's been a big thing. You know, if we're lowering property taxes, we need to lower overall taxes, and we need to lower our spend, right? We need to be cautious about where we're putting out our money. Where's the money going? Yes, we have a big pool, but what are we doing with it? So if we're trying to continue to build the infrastructure of Idaho and reduce this tax burden on us, I don't think necessarily just lowering taxes is going to be the thing. We need to be able to be careful in where we're spending the money and not continue to just let it flow.
Excellent.
Right.
Mr. Golden, I have a question for you. So in the state of Idaho, or I want to know more about your economic philosophy and what would be your approach to managing the state budget.
So my focus on, or my understanding of economics is, you know, I come from, like I said, I came from a poor family, right? We didn't have any money growing up in the military. Anybody serving in the military don't have money. So I treat other people's money like mine, right? I want to be able to be very careful on where we're spending it. I want to watch every dollar that's going out. You know, I want to know where it's coming in from. But as far as economics, you know, we got to be very careful about how we're starting to see, for example, California raised $20 minimum wage, right? Well, great, that's awesome for those people that are getting $20. But what is the global impact? What is the impact of the area around it? Why are we getting people laid off? So we just got to be very careful on, as we continue to grow, what we're doing to our local economy and what we're doing with those funds.
Excellent. Ms. Raybold, as a member of the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee, what changes have been made this year to the way that Idaho prepares its budget?
So during this last session, the budget process changed a little bit from how it had happened in years past. It used to be that agencies would come forward and would do presentations to the budget committee. There had been some discussions over the years how we could improve that process to ensure that we got as good information as we could and that we could get our questions answered, because that's really our opportunity to sort of vet what's being requested from the different agencies. And instead we shifted back and we had our own LSO budget staff from the legislature bring us up to speed on what had been requested and provide us with that information. In addition to that, we had working groups that we were divided up to work on individual budgets. I myself worked on natural resources, public safety, and a range of other budgets within the state. In total, I think there's roughly 109 at this point. But overall, what we tried to do was make sure that we were looking at each individual line item, which we've done in the past, and to ensure that we passed the most conservative budget we can, and we ended up increasing the general revenue side of the budget by only 1.7% over last year.
Excellent. Well, our time is almost up for this round of the forum. If each of you would like to take 2 minutes to prepare your to deliver your closing remarks, we would love to hear from you at this time. And we'll start with Mr. Golden.
Okay. Again, thank you. This is great. I don't know how you guys thought. This was a lot of fun. I got to hear a lot from Britt. Never met her before. I am who I am. This is what you see is what you're going to get. As I said, I'm a Second Amendment guy. I believe in the First Amendment just as strongly as that. I believe that everybody has a right to vote. And as you know, we talked earlier, you know, we got May 21st as the primary. Get out there and vote. Whether you vote for Britt or myself, take your time, show your voice, let it be heard. Coming out here, I'm here for you guys. Again, I'm not here about an ego. I learned early on in the police department when I was out, you know, when you're young and you got the gun and badge and you get out there, and one of my first FTOs said, You're here as a servant to the community. So your goal is to get everybody on a traffic stop to say thank you. Do you know how hard that is to try to convince somebody to say thank you and to put your ego aside and put all that? That's where I've been for a long time. It's not about me, it's about you, it's about the community, it's about Idaho and making things better.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Raybould.
As I said when I started this evening, it is an honor to serve. I don't take it lightly. When you hold this position, you swear an oath to uphold both our Constitution as a state and the federal Constitution. And then every day when we stand on the floor in the House, we pledge allegiance to our nation. I know that for each and every one of you sitting in here tonight, that you have your own concerns, you have your own priorities, you have the things that matter to you and your family that make a difference in your lives. I have a responsibility, to the best of my ability, to understand what those things are and to make decisions in accordance with your priorities. Now, we'll not always agree. I get that. But I hope that I've demonstrated throughout the course of my time in this job that I will always have the conversation with you. I will do my best to answer your questions and to make sure that you're heard and that you feel like you can be a part of this process. Because that's the only way this works. To Mr. Golden's point, if you don't vote, I don't know what you want. And if you don't pick up the phone and call me, or if you don't email me, I don't know what you want. That's the beauty of this Republican form of government, is that it gives us the opportunity to hear from the people, to hear what you want us to do as your representatives. And each and every day I'm in this job, I'm trying to find that balance amongst all of the individuals who are in this district, trying to find a path forward. So when I say to you, my priority is making sure that our students have access to good schools, it's for every one of your kids. When I say my priority is making sure that we have the right investments to ensure that we have secure infrastructure going forward, be it our roads and bridges, our water systems, access to the natural resources that help make the state, that's in there too. And I'm equally concerned about making sure that our community is a safe place to have our families grow and feel that they can be comfortable here and that they have a future here. And I'm balancing all of these things together. So when I ask you to go and vote on May 21st, I'm asking you, please tell us what you think. We're here to serve. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
And thank you both. All right, if we could have our next round of candidates come up to the stage. Here we have Senator Doug Ricks, who is running for state senator in District 34, and Marcia Craner. Senator Doug Ricks is running as a Republican incumbent, unopposed in the primary, and Marcia Craner is running unopposed as a Democrat. The two will both be on the ballot in November. All right, welcome to the stage. Senator Ricks, we'll begin with you. You have 90 seconds to share your opening remarks.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you, Madison County residents, for being here. I appreciate your attendance. So I was first elected to the House of Representatives in 2018. I served a term there, served with Britt Raybould, enjoyed my time there. The Senate seat became available, and I ran for that in 2020, and this is my second term in that. So I grew up here in Madison County on a farm. I went to our local schools, graduated from Madison High School, went to college at Ricks College, met my good wife, Melissa Pierce there. She's from down in Louisiana. And we've been together for many years, for 40 years. But we're invested in this. Our kids grew up here, they attended school. We know the community here and appreciate that. In my term in the legislature, I currently am serving as the chairman of the taxation committee, the local government and taxation, and I've been able to do a lot of things there. I focus a lot on taxation, and my focus is preventing taxes from coming out of your pocket as much as possible, for you can keep that money in your pocket. So my focus really has been to keep our taxes low. And I've been able to do that on a lot of legislation the last couple of years. Thank you.
Excellent. Marcia Craner, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marcia Craner. I am a lifelong Idahoan, and I have lived in Madison County for the last 32 years. My husband and I raised our 4 children here. They all graduated from Madison High School. They participated in orchestra and band, and our whole family participated in Civil Air Patrol. My husband and I have been teachers in Southeast Idaho for over 30 years. For most of my career, I taught 8th grade language arts. In fact, I might be pretending that you're 8th graders right now. I'm running for office because I believe it's time for Democrats to stand up and tell our story and stop letting others characterize us as some things that we aren't. I can't complain about others not being willing to run for office if I'm not willing myself. Democrats are your neighbors and friends. We're not some outside influencers. We care about family, freedom, and community just like you. When politicians run unopposed for too long, they start to believe that they represent people without actually checking in with them. They start to listen to special interest groups instead of the people they represent. We know that this is happening in Idaho because citizen initiatives have become necessary. My goal as a senator for District 34 is to listen to the people, not to special interest groups. As a volunteer collecting signatures, I know I've been listening to people at the door, and I know what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Craner. Mr. Ricks, our first question will go to you. Please take 1 minute to share what legislative action you are most proud of that the state legislature took this year.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably mention House Bill 521, same as Representative Raybold. I was the Senate sponsor of that. I worked with the governor's office on helping to craft that bill. That's the one that provided $1 billion in bond funding to school districts. Madison School District's going to get $22.2 million. Sugar Salem's going to get $6.3 million. And then in addition to that, Madison, and that's good for the next 10 years. And then every year for 10 years, Madison will get about $1.57 million, and Sugar Salem will get $440,000 to help pay those additional bonds. But that money goes to facilities. And so it's a bill that really invests the state more into helping to pay for the school buildings. Currently, it's done by local property taxes, and this is a big step forward in helping the state take on their responsibility to help pay for some of those. So that's my most favorite bill in the legislature this year.
Excellent. Ms. Craner, what do you feel the state legislature failed to do this session that you would have liked to see?
This past legislative session was an example of big government in action. When the government starts telling us what pronouns we can use, what books we can read, and what we can and can't do in our doctor's offices, we know they've gone too far. Government should not be about limiting citizens' voices. They should not be trying to make it more difficult to pass citizen initiatives. They should not be gerrymandering districts to keep themselves in office. Government should not be telling professionals how to do their jobs. Freedom means ensuring that people can be in charge of their own lives as long as it doesn't harm others. Government should be about improving citizen access to things that they can utilize and improve their own lives. Education, healthcare, wilderness, roads and bridges. Government exists to help people, to protect them, and to promote their welfare.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Craner, we'll start with you this time. House Bill 521, which has been referred to earlier today several times, reduces income taxes from 5.8% to 5.695%. What do you believe needs to be done on property tax relief in the state of Idaho, and are current measures enough?
Things have to be paid for somehow. We need taxes to pay for things. If we keep cutting taxes everywhere, we're not going to have the same quality of schools, the same quality of things that we need, especially if we reject money from the federal government. I would like to bring back the quality education bill as one way to help relieve taxes on property owners and bring the corporate tax level back up to the 8% where it was a few years ago. As Britt Raybould said, we've been decreasing corporate taxes year after year. If big businesses want to come into Idaho and developers want to come into Idaho and use our labor force and use our economy, then they should be paying for it. They should be paying a bigger share of the taxes so they can benefit the way they do.
Excellent. Mr. Ricks, what did the legislature do this year to deliver on property tax relief?
So property tax relief is something that's important. The last couple of years, we've lowered property taxes from the state level. It's important to know that all the property taxes that are collected locally on your property tax statement stay in the county and the city. None of that goes to the state. But realizing that because the home values have gone up and there's been a big burden shift, a little bit of the amount that individuals, homeowners pay on their property taxes, the state has heard from our constituents, heard from people complaining about that, and we did redirect some of the monies that we receive on sales tax through the state back down to the homeowners. So last year, House Bill 292, which I was a sponsor of that, provided $300 million in property tax relief, and then this year, last year 292, and then this year House Bill 521 provides additional amounts. But the state is hearing from our property tax payers. We're trying to help out with some of the burden on property taxes. That is a big concern, and so we are addressing that.
Excellent. Mr. Ricks, the next question is for you. As a supporter of school choice or vouchers, how would using state funds for private education benefit the residents of Madison County?
So, can you ask that again?
Definitely. As a supporter of school choice or vouchers, how would using state funds for private education benefit the residents of Madison County?
Okay, so there was not a bill for school choice vouchers. I didn't support one. I did support a bill for tax credits, which would provide some funding for parents to choose to use to allow their kids to go to potential private schools, but that is not considered a voucher itself. I do think that parents should have a little more option to choose where their kids go to school. I think it's one of those deals that it would provide actually some ability to improve education all around. I'm not looking to dismantle our public schools, as evident of me sponsoring House Bill 521, but I do think that parents should be enabled to have a few more choices and education options.
Excellent. And thank you for that clarification as well. Ms. Craner, how would you support Madison Public Schools if elected to the legislature, and what is your position on the school tax credits?
I am against school vouchers and against the school tax credits. I believe they siphon money away from public education. We should be keeping the money in one system so that we can more adequately provide for innovation and quality staffing. The school voucher system or the tax system would force rural taxpayers in Madison County to subsidize the wealthy who are already attending private schools. Private schools don't have the same rules as public schools. Therefore, they have zero accountability. Research shows that when taxpayers start supporting private schools, budgets tend to explode. If I'm elected Senate of District 34, I will work to bring back the Quality Education Act. Our schools should not have to wonder from year to year if they are going to be funded adequately to keep all their teachers and staff. Schools should not be thinking about cutting staff when they are bursting at the seams. The Quality Education Act would reinstate the 8% corporate tax. This would provide a steady stream of money that school districts can rely on from year to year, and this would enable them to innovate and provide quality education.
Mr. Ricks, would you like to respond to some of those comments and maybe explain some more on this issue?
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. So Idaho does support education. We give 63% of our general funds to education. There's only 4 other states out of all 50 that give more percentage of their general funds. 63%. We're up there. We give as much as we can. In the last several years, we've increased teacher salaries, we've increased benefits with insurance, and a lot of different things for our teachers. We've increased the starting pay. Idaho does a great job for our teachers. We do support education.
Excellent. And Ms. Craner, would you like to take 30 seconds to respond as well?
I do agree that our schools are doing a great job. They're doing a great job of innovating with what they have. A lot of them provide online options. Some of them provide vocational technical options. They're doing a great job. Our staff is doing a great job with what they have. I just think we can do better. And if we want more options and more innovation, we're going to have to put more money into it. And that means corporate tax, which would be that steady stream of money that they could count on to innovate and get quality staffing every year.
Excellent. Ms. Craner, it's your turn to go next. What is your position on Idaho Launch, and what impact will Launch have here on the state?
I think Idaho Launch is a great thing. I think that as students are leaving high school and trying to decide what to do, it comes down sometimes to a decision about money. Do I have enough money to do this? Do I have enough money to follow my dreams? And Launch helps kids follow their dreams. I don't see any problem with it. I think we should keep expanding it, and I think it's a great thing. Excellent.
Mr. Ricks, what is your position on Idaho Launch, and what impact will it have on the state?
So Launch is an interesting program, and it's new. I'm waiting to see what will happen. I didn't initially support funding of that because I have concerns. I would have liked to see the money actually go into K through 12 schools and provide technical training there. But I am supportive of the concept, the idea. I'm kind of waiting to see how it is. It's a $70 million cost to the taxpayers every year, even to those who didn't, who will not have access to receive it. So it is an interesting concept, and I think there's some good potential there. I would have liked to see businesses that were really pushing hard for it, our big corporate companies in Idaho, have some skin in the game, like providing scholarships or guarantee that some of these kids would have a job when they graduate with a technical trade, but none of that was part of the legislation. There's no accountability. Once a kid gets the money, they go and get the training at school, they can actually go to Utah or somewhere else to get a job. I would like to have seen more accountability that the money stays here, the people stay here.
Excellent. Mr. Ricks. Our local community leaders were concerned about proposed legislation that would have curtailed urban renewal. What would you do to protect that avenue for municipalities to receive funding for local projects?
I didn't hear the whole question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Our local community leaders were concerned about proposed legislation that would have curtailed urban renewal. What would you do to protect that avenue for municipalities to receive funding for local projects?
Okay, so urban renewal is one of those tools that cities can use and local municipalities. One thing that it was originally designed for is blighted areas. So mainly in the middle of the cities where the place is run down. But it actually takes money away from the property tax base. So what it does is currently the property tax payers in the county will actually fund a lot of that project. It comes out of the amount that you would be paying instead of the developer. And so I think it's a good thing in some situations for areas that need to be fixed up that are old, but I don't think it's a good resource to use for new growth and new areas for new funding projects. I think there's other avenues and other funding options that we're looking at to make it a little more fair so the taxpayers here don't have to pay for that.
Excellent. Ms. Craner.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Our local community leaders were concerned about proposed legislation that would have curtailed urban renewal. What would you do to protect that avenue for municipalities to receive funding for local projects?
My number one goal is to listen. I think I would sit down with the local people, local officials, and listen to what they think they need and what they think the problem is and how they think it can be solved. I do know that it has been a tool to spur development in many areas. Magic Valley used the urban renewal to increase their food production industry, and it created thousands of jobs. So I'm definitely not against urban renewal or against putting money into it. But I do think that this is something that we need to talk with local officials, and I think that's the most important part of it.
Excellent. Well, thank you both. We have run low on time once again, and so it's time for our closing remarks. Ms. Craner, we'll begin with you, and you have 2 minutes.
A vote for me would be a vote for a change in our legislative sessions. There is nothing conservative about allowing our government to get more and more intrusive into our private lives. A vote for me would be a vote for education. Let's put the tax burden for quality education on wealthy corporations and give some relief to property owners while providing a steady flow of funds to help our schools consistently innovate. A vote for me would prevent Madison taxpayers from being forced to pay for the wealthy to go to private schools. A vote for me would be a vote for preventing abortion. It would be an invitation to doctors to come back to Idaho and give women the care they need without worrying about lawsuits. A vote for me is a vote for supporting local control and professional decisions. Please vote for me in November.
Mr. Ricks.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed my time in the legislature. I like to get to know other people. I work well with all factions within the Republican Party and also our friends on the across the aisle. I've been able to co-sponsor legislation with other Dems and lots of folks. I've been able to carry some of the biggest bills in the legislature when it comes to property tax relief. I look out for the individual property taxpayer. You know, there's a lot of corporations, education, a lot of big businesses have lobbyists that they hire to look out for their interests, their special interests. But there's nobody that's really is there to speak for the individual property taxpayer and the taxpayer. And so I've kind of picked up that role to represent you in Madison County and to try to keep the property taxes low, keep our income taxes low. Ironically, as Idaho's lowered their income taxes, our revenues have increased. People come, they do more business. If your taxes are high, they don't come here, or they find other ways to shield that money and not have to pay taxes on it. But we've actually increased our revenues quite a bit by lowering our property taxes and our income taxes specifically. So a vote for me will continue to provide good representation. I've got your back when it comes to property taxes and income taxes, so I appreciate your support. Neither one of us have an opponent in the primary, but when it comes to the general election, I will appreciate your support in both races, so thank you.
Excellent. Thank you both for joining us up on the stage tonight. All right, for the third round of this forum, we have the Madison County Sheriff race. Could we have Sheriff Ron Ball and Brody Riding come forward? Both of these candidates will be running as Republicans in the upcoming primary, with Ron Ball as the interim sheriff who took office at the end of 2023 when Sheriff Rick Henry resigned. All right, let's begin with our opening statements. We'll begin with Mr. Ball.
Come on. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I know how important it is for everybody, and And again, thank you for coming and supporting all the candidates. My name is Ron Ball. I am a father, grandfather, husband of 32 years with my wife. I've worked here at the city of Rexburg I was employed for the city of Rexburg for over 31 years. Recently, with the retirement of Sheriff Rick Henry, I became a candidate as an interim sheriff and went against two very capable and well-qualified candidates, and I was selected as the interim sheriff. I want to carry that interim sheriff position into now my candidacy for the next 4 years. I bring a lot of experience with me. I was employed with the city of Rexburg for over 31 years. In that 31 years, there wasn't much in law enforcement that I didn't do. I was a patrol officer, canine officer, drug officer, SWAT member, a hostage negotiator, a supervisor of investigators. I have quite a bit of experience in those realms, and that has all made it so that I think I am prepared to lead the sheriff's office as we move forward. We're going to have some, with our population growth that was mentioned earlier in one of the Senate races there, that we're going to have growth in this community, and I think I'm prepared to, with my experience, to carry us on further. So thanks again for everybody being here.
Mr. Reddy.
Hi, my name is Brody Riding. I grew up here in Rexburg, went to Madison High School and graduated 2000. Then served a mission for the LDS Church in the Cebu, Philippines mission. After my return, I was got married to my wife Cynthia. We have 4 children. Most of them are here tonight. I did serve with the Madison County Sheriff's Office for 15 years. I was 2 years as a reserve officer and then 13 years full-time, mostly in patrol. I was on the SWAT team for 10 years, and then at the end I was actually the commander of the SWAT team. I was a patrol sergeant there for a number of years. Currently I work at Rexburg Motorsports. I just finished with my bachelor's degree in business administration from Western Governors University. Kind of new to this political thing, but I committed to this community. I grew up here, my family's from here. We're really invested in this community and just want an opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll begin with the first question. Mr. Ball, what are the duties of a county sheriff in the state of Idaho?
Well, the duties of the sheriff in the state of Idaho, you can actually look at the state statute, and I believe that's 31-2202. If you look that up, there are a lot. It would take more than 90 seconds I have to actually discuss all that with you. But the statute means, those are guidelines. Those are, the first one is to maintain peace, to take those that are arrested in front of a magistrate as soon as possible, to run the daily operations of the sheriff's office, which includes the jail, which includes dispatch, which includes civil processing, which includes patrol, which includes detectives. I mean, there's a whole organization there. At the Madison County Sheriff's Office, we have almost 70 people within that office who are doing all sorts of variety of different things. So that's just a quick description of that. Thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Redding, same question for you. What are the duties of a county sheriff in the state of Idaho?
Ron, I think, covered a lot of that a bit. Yeah, there is a lot that goes on at the sheriff's office, a lot of the different divisions there. Dispatch is one of them, the civil process of it, and then you've got the law side of it, where for patrol, for detectives, managing all that, the jail, another big aspect of it, serving the civil papers, civil process is another big aspect of the sheriff's office. They're in charge of policing the more rural community. There's a lot that goes on in that office, but but to be able to serve the community, Rexburg City and Madison County, is a bigger responsibility and something that I would love to do.
Excellent. Mr. Redding, this next question is for you. You were decertified as a law enforcement officer in 2019 by the Idaho Police Officers Standard and Trainings, the governing body that trains and certifies officers in Idaho, for lying or falsifying official written or verbal communications, and for failure to respond truthfully to questions related to an investigation or legal proceeding. Can you explain what happened and how that affects your ability to run for sheriff?
Yes. So that is one thing I'm not proud of, but I made mistakes, and after that I was going to be determined not to let my mistakes ruin my life or take over from what I want to do. So I did. I was dishonest in an investigation, with an internal investigation to one of my supervisors, and several months later it was decertified. But again, I don't want that to be who I am. It's not who I am, and I don't want that to guide what I'm going to do. And so I pick myself up, and I'm going to go do what I think I can do and know I can do. So,
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Ball, in your career, have you had any official reprimands or disciplinary actions that would affect your ability to serve as sheriff?
First of all, I would commend Brody. I know it takes a lot to get up here and say the things that he said, and I think that shows some good character qualities that Brody has. It would be tough, so thanks, Brody. No, I haven't. I haven't been suspended. I haven't been demoted. I haven't been asked to leave. My career, to me, is in going into the sheriff's position, it was about integrity. If I didn't think that I had that integrity to lead a group of 70 people, I wouldn't be doing it, because I'm the face of that department. I am who they look up to, and that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff, you were the lead investigator in the Lori Vallow case. How did that affect you, and how did it change your view in police work and investigative work?
Everybody wants to talk about the Lori Vallow case all the time.
Seems like a theme.
Because I'm under subpoena right now, it's a little difficult for me to go into much detail. I will probably be testifying the next couple of weeks in it. I learned a lot from that investigation, from a leadership standpoint, not just an investigation standpoint. I wish that I knew some things going into that would have helped during the course of that investigation that I know now. I can't but commend the officers that were involved in that case and the things that we all went through together. It's unbelievable. We saw some of the best things in that case, but we saw things that were some of the worst things that could be imaginable. I have nothing but the highest respect for those that I served with and led through that investigation, because it was a ordeal that I hope that nobody ever has to go through again.
Mr. Riding, what are some of the most significant and memorable cases that you have worked on, and how has that affected your view of law enforcement and the role it provides in the community?
Okay. There was a lot of, as law enforcement, any law enforcement officer in here knows, it's, there's good days, there's bad days. You do see a lot. There's a lot of tough things that you see. I think some of the most significant things that I seen though is be able to help people. law enforcement gets a bad rap a lot from a lot of people from across the country right now with things going on. But being able to go out there, and a good example is I pulled somebody over one night that was for DUI. And several years down the road, that person came up to me and thanked me for taking them to jail that night, because they were going out to, they had decided that they'd had a bad life and they were going to go out and commit suicide. And knowing that I was able there to help him and stop him from doing that, you just never know what you might come across and be able to help people.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Riding, what are some recent trends in crime in Madison County that people should be aware of?
Recent trends? Is that...
Trends in crime.
I think the drug epidemic is huge. Madison County is not obsolete from that. This is a great community, great area, but we still have our problems. The recent fentanyl crisis right now is huge. I do security currently down at Ermac. Every day there's people coming in there and overdosing on fentanyl and other drugs. Unfortunately, it is a huge pandemic that we're seeing that needs to be dealt with, along with other things. But I think that's one of the main issues that we're seeing is the drug issues right now.
Excellent. Mr. Ball, what are the recent trends in crime in Madison County that people should be aware of?
That people should be aware of?
Yep.
So again, I think Brody's right where we're talking about drugs. Drugs, in my career when I worked at Full-Time Drug Task Force, I did undercover buys, I did hand-to-hand exchanges with people for drugs and money and ended up arresting them. And that was really one of the high points in my career, to be involved in that sort of field of law enforcement. Drugs continue to be a problem. The ongoing problem with fentanyl. Everybody's heard about it. We're battling it. At the office right now, I'm trying to work with the city and coming up with a full-time drug officer and work in conjunction with them. The other thing we need to talk about is exploited children, internet crimes against children. It's been an uprising in that too, and it's a serious problem, people. We have got to take that serious, and that's why I'm allowing one of my detectives to be on a task force with the Idaho Attorney General's office, where he assists in investigation in our area for people dealing in child pornography. So we will continue that and battle that. Thank you.
Mr. Ball, what should voters know about the operation of a county jail?
The operation of county jail, I think that one thing I would like to explain to them, that the county jail, there's a lot of liability within the county jail. I really didn't realize that until I became sheriff and started talking with my jail staff about all the liability they have in there. But the way we counteract that is we try to get our training in our jail. We try to have jailers that are well-knowledged in any aspect of problems they might end up with. They are good, qualified staff and do us a great job, and we'll continue doing that. Thank you.
Excellent. Mr. Riding, same question. What should voters know about operating a county jail?
I never worked in the jail. I did, I was part of the sheriff's office, so I was around it a lot. But there's a lot of inmates in the county jail. It's a big function. I think it's probably one of the highest employee parts of the sheriff's office. So it is a big part of the sheriff's office, and there's a lot of different aspects that go into it. Needs to be a lot of funding that goes into that to make it a safe place, to make it a place that the inmates can feel safe, that the officers can feel safe, have the right infrastructure, the right staff members to run it. So there is obviously a cost associated with that, but it's something that needs to be there to keep everybody safe.
Excellent. Mr. Riding, with past sheriffs in other jurisdictions, it has been hard sometimes to obtain information during breaking news situations. How do you intend to commit to transparency and providing timely information to the media so that residents can stay informed of breaking news?
I think working with the media during a crisis or during some sort of emergency situation, social media is a huge thing right now, obviously. There's a lot of different platforms that the sheriff's office and other agencies can post on that can keep the public up to date for whatever the case is going on, whether it be traffic or some sort of criminal investigation or anything. But working with local media and posting updates on like the sheriff's office Facebook page, things like that, I think is key to during an emergency situation or a crisis to get that word out there of what's going on.
Thank you. Mr. Ball, same question. How do you intend to commit to transparency and providing timely information to the media so that residents can stay informed in cases of breaking news?
You know, it's going to sound a little weird, but I love the press. I love the people who work around here that are involved in the press. I don't know how many of their numbers in my phone, and I can still keep gathering them because I want to use the press for my I want to use the press in order to get information that I need relayed out to the public in case of a crisis situation. I also believe that if I treat the press with respect, they're going to treat me with respect. The press is going to get what information they're going to get. They can either get it from you or they can get it off the street with somebody else. I don't believe us any good to not work with the press, members of the media. And so recently we've had instances where we've had to reach out to the press about fires or weather, and we work good because we pump that information out there. Now they pump it to everybody else, and that's how all that information gets passed around. Press has got to be your friend.
Mr. Ball, as a sheriff, are you obligated to enforce the law passed by the legislature or enforce a decision by a court, even if you do not support the law or agree with the decision?
What I believe to be a constitutional sheriff means I swore to uphold the Constitution. And if ever I come across something that I may not agree with full-heartedly, I did swear to uphold that Constitution. And so if the courts say that this is the law that has been created, I'm bound to uphold that law. Like a lot of people, some of these things I may not like. But I can voice that my opinion, and I can stand by you and fight with legislatures about how we can change those. But I am bound by the Constitution to uphold those laws.
Excellent. Mr. Riding, same question. As a sheriff, are you obligated to enforce the law passed by the legislature or enforce a decision by a court, even if you do not support the law or agree with the decision?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Sheriff Ball just said. We may not like what the law is, we may not agree with it, but we are bound by the Constitution to uphold that, to enforce that law. Again, we can talk to the legislatures, we can talk to our representatives, do what we need to do to get those laws changed. But as far as enforcing those laws, that's what we're sworn to do as law enforcement. And, unfortunately, that's what we have to do sometimes, whether, we agree with it or whether the public agrees with it. It's, sometimes we just have to do it. So.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, our time is up, so it's time for your closing statements. If each of you could take 2 minutes, and we'll begin with Mr. Riding.
Okay, thank you. I want to go back to just for what I wanted to do as for sheriffs. The drug epidemic, huge thing that is going on right now. Getting a drug task force or getting with other agencies in their drug task force and combating that epidemic right now is one thing I really want to do. Another thing is the school safety, huge right now. With school shootings, with shootings just in general, I think our students, they need to feel safe. Our teachers need to feel safe. in our schools. Meeting with school officials, going over emergency plans, I think that is crucial to the education process. I know parents, I'm a parent, and when there's something going on at the school, it can be nerve-wracking. Sitting down with parents, school officials, having plans in place to what if something were to happen. That's another thing I would really like to address. Those are some of the big issues, not necessarily issues, but things that we're continually seeing, and that I'd like to address more. Sit down with the public, see what they're seeing as well, to address their concerns. Those are some of the big topics that I would like to do as sheriff, though. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yesterday, I went to the funeral of a fallen fellow officer in Ada County. I'm sure most of you have heard. It was quite an experience, one that I hope I never have to go through again, but it was quite an experience to see that many officers, and it reminds me of why I'm even doing this job. I'm going to hit real quick on my platform, why I'm running, or what I'm running on. Experience, I've talked about that a little bit. There is not much in law enforcement that I haven't done at this point. And it's all prepared me for now taking over the sheriff's position and now trying to carry it on for more years. Leadership. I've been a leader at the Rexburg Police Department and a supervisor for over 13 years. I ran a division of detectives that were top-notch, and I would have put them up against anybody. They were sharp, and we did a lot of good things, including having over a 60% solvability rate, which is way above the Idaho's average. That's something I walk away being proud of, and all the guys that work with me should be proud of. But what I learned with that experience, I now try to carry over in the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office, these guys laugh at me, but in my senior staff meetings, I have leadership training meetings. Sometimes I'll play videos, and we'll talk about their leadership videos. And I know some of them don't like to sit through them, but I think they're important because I'm not going to be there, all the time. I'm not going to be there years down the road. They're going to be around this important, so it's important to me that they're ready for it. The last is integrity. I mentioned it earlier. I think it's important that the guys in the sheriff's office, the guys and the ladies in the sheriff's office, are able to look at their sheriff and go, you know what? He's been around a long time, and he did it right. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes tonight's forum. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for each of the candidates for participating and sharing their platforms and what they're running for in this coming campaign. For more information about the candidates and their positions, you can visit eastidahonews.com. We will have each of their questionnaire responses posted on our website under the Sections tab at the top, and click on East Idaho Elects under that tab. You can watch this forum at eastidahonews.com, on our Facebook page, and on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful evening.